All right, and maybe, yep, God, it took forever. I think we're live. We are live. All right, guys, appreciate everybody tuning in. Stone Guy 223 with the Every Second Matters chat. We do this the second of every month, and we'll get some quick introductions out of the way here. We've got Glock Guru.
Thanks for the invite.
Yep, yep. Next to him is Yankee Marshall.
Hello.
And we've got Edge 4006.
Bravo, bravo.
And Moon Food.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And then Mr. Wayne here.
Greetings.
You have a channel name, Wayne?
Nah, I don't.
Okay. Right on. I'll just call you Wayne. So anyway, there'll be a couple other people joining. There's links out there. Our founding father, so to speak, should be joining us here shortly, I hope. Every Second Matters was kind of the brainchild. I don't know who. I guess it was primarily G-Webs, right? That kind of came up with that. I mean, it was kind of a brainchild of all of us. But
Yeah.
It's Artisan Tony.
Well, Artisan
And
Tony,
G-Webs.
all Artisan Tony did was do the graphic. He didn't come up with the words or anything else.
yeah, yeah. So
So he contributed.
Don't give him reason to claim that.
yeah, Samantha. We're not splitting hairs here. We're just giving an overview of basically how this started. Was we've done these chats for some time, and we came up with the idea to do an Every Second Matters campaign, if you will. And so what that basically encompasses is the second of every month is just a more deliberate actions on our part, of the gun community and people that carry firearms to try to spark a conversation on the second, maybe open carry for that day. We've got T-shirts that are available on a Spreadshirt that you can buy in support of Every Second Matters. We don't make any money on it. It's purely just just to show your support.
You can get a tattoo.
G-Webs has got stickers and patches and all sorts of swag related to Every Second Matters on his website, the gear website, and/or gun channels. Sure, if you just check out gunchannels.com, you could definitely, someone could point you in the right direction to getting your Every Second Matters gear. So anyway, as usual, like we said, we tried to do something on the second, and then we kind of talk about maybe what we've done to influence someone today. So I'll just open it up and.
Well, like I said, I already copped out for the day, so I can't add too much because it's 102 degrees outside my house, and I have central air, so I am not leaving the house today.
I had new central air put in today.
Awesome, right in.
And I pitched the local gun range to all the guys who weren't from around here. So I talked to all the central air guys about guns all day.
Well, this year is the first year in 7 years that our central air didn't shit out on us the very first day it got really hot, and I had to have someone come repair it. So I'm holding my breath that it stays good and I don't have to talk to any central air guys this week.
All right, that's great. ETO stuff.
Well, Edge, did you do anything today?
I did put a picture on Instagram, but not this week, but last week I did take a person was requesting my advice on buying a pistol, the very first pistol, and I helped him go to my local gun shop and pick out a pistol, and it was pretty good for the most part. So he started haggling, and I'm like, don't haggle with them. There's not much to give, but I did help him out, and he did end up buying a firearm from them, a local gun shop. But that was about a week ago. But today, all I did, the ability or the time I had was to put a picture on Instagram, and I did that.
Nice. So for those of you that or have kind of been following us in this endeavor campaign, if you will, like I said, we mostly just try to advocate for the Second Amendment, gun rights in general, and do something a little more. I hate to use the word in your face, but you know, a little more in your face to really bring the issue up to people.
Do we have any update to see if the Every Second Matters flag is going to be on the White House? I didn't hear any updates on that.
I think it's still pending.
Still pending? All right.
But at that point, you'll know we have arrived.
All right.
Or been flagged. Either, no pun intended there. So, myself today, Moon, are you eating?
No. Drinking coffee.
Oh, that's what I like. Today I just, I try to talk to people. Definitely went to I go to my local gun shop every day. But today I was a little more vocal. There was a news story of a former, I think she was a former CNN news anchor. Her and her husband. And I was hoping G-Web was being here because I think this happened in Arizona. But her and her husband were attacked, and they're both in their 60s. From what I read, he was a former military guy, concealed carrier. He was shot 3 times, her husband, but he was able to return fire and kill the.
So the whole story is he was in the shower. She went out to the car to get something out of the car, turned around from the car. A guy had her at gunpoint, took her back in the hotel room to get more valuables. They thought he was only going to take his laptop. He came out of the shower, and they shot him 3 times, and the guy got his gun and shot the other guy, and the other guy died in the parking lot.
Nice.
But
now we need to know which caliber each of them were shooting, because since the one guy died and the other guy didn't, that will solve forever, possibly, which caliber is better.
Or shot placement maybe, but the what are the lessons really there, to be learned? One, don't leave your gun in a hotel room. It was good you had a gun, and so. But look at the slant that article is. It is survives gunfight, not concealed carry permit holder defends his and his wife's life. Or what if he hadn't been there? Could you imagine if he hadn't been there and she'd have gone back to the room by herself? And there's a lot of things to take away from that story.
Absolutely. And that was the one thing I was, just, things like that I think are what we really need to try to research, or not really research, but more actively find and exploit and really get that out there to people, because the mainstream media is.
Well, it's like I say all the time. People always love to talk about, boy, if we just didn't have guns, we could have saved these 7,000 or 8,000 lives that were due to things that could have been stopped if the bad guy hadn't had a gun. And I know people go say, oh, there's like 30,000 gun deaths a year, but most of them are suicide, things like that you ain't going to stop whether they had a gun or not. The people always talk about, oh, these thousands of lives we could save every year, but I'm like, well, then you're totally ignoring the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who defend their lives every year with a firearm. You're discounting the fact that they survived as if that's valueless.
Well, that's our hardest problem, is that we don't have a number that shows effective deterrent by firearm statistics, because it doesn't create a statistic. The mugging doesn't take place, the rape doesn't take place.
No, the only statistic we do have is that FBI one that says, every year around 700,000 people brandish or fire a firearm in defense of their home or property or life and are successful in doing so. So, we have to use math. It's kind of like how when you have to use math You have to accept the base numbers when you go by things that are reported on the census, but then you also have to use a little math to say, okay, well, but how many people probably weren't comfortable answering that? We have to take those number of people that defend their lives every year and put some sort of mathematic quota on them. Well, how many of those people were probably in danger of serious injury? Even if it's only 10%, it still far outweighs the number by at least 10, 20 times the number of people that are killed with a firearm every year.
Well, that's just it. The media does not report the good things that happen with firearms like they do the bad.
And then, like what Ralph said there, you also have all those numbers of times people successfully used a firearm, and then you don't even have that number he's talking about, like how many people brandished a firearm and someone ran away, and they didn't even report it to police. So there's even another number we got to add on to it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that was kind of the whole, and I mean, encompassing a lot of other things, but that was a big, a big topic for us or the group, the Every Second Matters group, is to make sure we, get that information out there. Make sure, that we're able to have, educated, articulated conversations to what could potentially be an anti-gunner, or maybe just someone on the fence that isn't sure, one way or the other, where they stand on the whole gun rights or firearms in general.
Well, it's like when you talk to somebody who's not very gun friendly, and then all of a sudden something happens, or they call you, oh, something's happening, somebody's knocking on my door, and I don't know who it is, and all of a sudden, why you calling me? Oops, you got a gun. Oh, but you're not Mr. Gun Guy. You don't like guns. What happened there? Yeah. Change your mind.
Well, that's just it. It's that's kind of like with guns or prepping or anything. People always think you're crazy until they need to utilize what you prepare for. Whether it be if you've got food or you've got extra water, or, anything that you're prepared and other people aren't. When it comes time for someone that to need that item, whatever that item is, then you're not so crazy anymore. And the same thing with firearms. That's a prime example of something. As simple as being in like you said, going out to a car in a hotel room and being basically kidnapped and brought back into your hotel room. Had that guy not had a way to defend himself, who knows what the outcome would have been.
Yeah, I set my gun on the counter while I take a shower. And it may seem paranoid, but I'll bet that guy didn't think it was.
I put mine in a basket on the counter.
With flowers or without?
Like a basket with a towel in it, face towel in it.
I have a Kydex holster that's like mounted to my shitter. So. It's just like a spare one we made. It's pretty big. It's nice though. Nice to have a nice secure place just to snap it in.
Absolutely.
You want to shoot my gun? No, that's good.
Well, that's just it. I mean, that's probably the place where you're most, well, it is, I would say, the most vulnerable, in general. But even just, like I said, walking around your house, it kills me that people take their gun off, as soon as they get home and, put it on a nightstand or somewhere, and then they're walking around their house. Well, if someone kicks in your door, you're not going to have time to go retrieve that gun.
Well, even then, when people, my dad's a concealed carry guy as well. He has a license, but he doesn't really carry. And he saw me once. He walks in the door and saw my little gun on my hip and my revolver. He's like, "What are you waiting for? The World War III?" But no, it doesn't do me any good locked up in the safe. if you're going to kick in my door, hold on, stop. Let me go upstairs and grab this real quick, and then we can engage again. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
that's the way it
exactly.
is. Yeah. And that's my right. I mean, I'm not walking around pointing at people, as I'm grabbing the mail. Hey, what are you doing?
I would say in terms of getting the word out, not just firearms, but like a couple of videos that I saw earlier dealing with knives and the laws that they want to pass, banning not just firearms or supposed gun control, but just control all around.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So what's something, I know, and I don't know where G-Webs is, but I know it's something he likes to get to at least ask or get across is something that we can try to do, every day, every week, every month to, to help educate people, as far as, this every second matters goes, like I said, we consider open carry or, what do you think's a good way to
Take
bring
someone
attention
new.
to that?
Take someone new to the range. Didn't you guys just do a video series on first-time shooters and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, it did absolutely. Yeah, I think definitely taking a new shooter.
Or at least sharing that video series with them.
And I do try and wear, the shirt, every second matters when I can, and try and provoke a discussion when something's mentioned.
Let's start the conversation at the range. If you have a couple extra patches, throw one out to somebody you think that it's a value. They're gonna appreciate it, and educate them on what it's all about by giving them a free $5 patch and maybe a business card if you got a couple of those, and just spread the word. People that can appreciate it and go, hey, this guy today out in blue just gave me a cool patch and explained to me the situation. Get them involved.
Well, and that was a thing initially when we first got this going, when we were trying to come up with some different products or items to help spread the word, and we like I said, we came out with the T-shirts, we've got the patches, stickers, and G-Webs has created a little business card, and I know he sends them out with the patches. Like if you order a patch, he usually sticks 4 or 5 business cards in there, and I want to say you could order them. You can even order the business cards directly as well. But those are super neat. Kind of, basically he set it up. It's got a Every Second Matters logo and just a brief description of what the what it's about, what it's for, and keep in mind, this isn't something that he created to make money. He doesn't make a dime on this. Just enough to cover his cost. So, I don't want people to think that we're just campaigning for, to go and buy patches and, so he can retire.
It was pretty neat seeing Eric from Iraq veteran hit it 8. Using it in several videos, his patch on his cap and sporting it. That's pretty neat. He's a big channel, gets a lot of attention.
I say like leave a couple of cards, drop a couple of cards off in the ammo section at Walmart. Because if you give them to a gun store, which I have done, it's kind of preaching to the choir, but not everybody is hardcore pro 2A at the gun shop. But then again, neither are the people at Walmart. So if they just see a card laying on the counter or on the shelf, they might pick it up and read it.
Yes, some of the gun stores would just put them in a bin of like manual or catalogs and free patches to get from their vendors, and there you go. Pick one up for they're free.
Maybe leave one for your waitress when you go out to eat with the tip.
what's interesting, like when I talk to people about it, you know, they say, I want to get my hair cut sometimes, or you know, just talk to people, working dinner or whatever. And they're like, oh, cool. I didn't know. You know, what's a local range? What's a good range to go to? That's always a good, you know, you break the ice with them and maybe throw it in there. I haven't done it in, you know, in that circumstance, but that's an opportunity as well. And people are, there's a lot more people, in my opinion, that I've seen that are interested in doing it. They just want to feel confident in doing it and want somebody to help them do it. You know, take the initiative to go and start shooting and possibly, you know, defend themselves or defend their home or their family.
Okay, I was about to say Edge's speech patterns are hard enough to follow usually, but he's breaking up for me, and I couldn't understand a word he said. I don't know if that's just me getting
No,
break.
no, it wasn't breaking up, and I still couldn't understand a word he said. So don't feel bad.
You don't speak the Queen's English, sir.
That's just the Porky Pig of gun channels. I love it.
I don't stutter. Stutter, motherfucker.
Is there any legislation coming up? That's what I'm trying to take a look at. See what
What's going on, Mike?
How about it, boys? Hello?
Sorry, I had to step away for a second. You guys talk about anything good?
Yeah, I did a lot.
How illegible or how in, I guess,
Get at the source. We,
Well,
unintelligible, I guess would be the word.
well, Mike joined us from Tubo Bravo.
oh, cool. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. Trying to be big money like y'all. You gotta teach me the secret one day.
I hear you. So you, are you familiar with our Every Second Matters campaign?
No, I just saw that you'd invited me to a video chat. I actually have a little bit of free time, and we ain't talked in a while, so I figured I'd pop in. I'm coming in blind. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Well, we basically just we talk about how to get, just basically how to spread the word, how to get more people involved in shooting and becoming more aware of their Second Amendment rights, and yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. So we had to go back and watch some of the chats, but it's a campaign. When did we start this, Shanky? Has it been 2 years now almost? Year and a half?
I don't know what I had for lunch yesterday.
Huh?
I said, don't ask me. I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
I think it's been about at least a year and a half, but
it's been at least that long. At least.
Yeah, roughly about that.
So it's basically what can we do to bring new shooters into the gun world?
I want to make them aware of their Second Amendment rights, you know, and want to support that community of people that want to continue fighting for their rights and preserve what they have and fight for more.
It's I think what was it? It's Tim Harmson, the Military Channel. I think his wife stated it most properly. He stated in an article on the Bang Switch how he's talking about the mindset of anti-gun people, and she was talking to one of her coworkers and stuff, and her coworker knew Tim, her husband. They'd gone out to dinners and stuff like that, but her coworker didn't know that Tim had so many guns, or he was that involved into guns. And she is anti-gun. She was not raised in the gun culture or around firearms at all. And she was showing pictures and stuff. Tim's wife, that is, was showing pictures to her coworker, and she came across a picture with Tim holding a rifle. And the coworker went on to say he owns guns. She's like, yeah. And his wife, to the gist of, showed him all the guns and talked to her about what all he had. And the coworker proceeded to say, I didn't know your husband was such a violent man. And so, with that being said, that should give you a glimpse as to what the anti-gun culture is about. They don't understand that it's not a violent thing, that guns don't just automatically make you an evil person. It's the tool. But all you hear about is, well, this gun shot this person, this gun shot another person.
So what did his wife say in response to that you said she said it best?
We can pay for your damn dinner.
He didn't say what her response was or anything. He just wanted to drive home. It wasn't about the rhetorical or the argument. His main point was to drive home the fact of what the gun community is up against, as far as trying to convince people, well, not even convince people, just show what we're about, to give that 2 minutes of time to at least open-mindedly think. We're in a world where it's not the Wild Wild West anymore, and you have so many people who are comfortable in the security of the government, the security of our armed forces via police or sheriffs or military, and they don't feel the need to have to protect themselves through firearms. And it is what it is. Do I feel that culture outweighs the gun culture? Obviously not even remotely close. Otherwise, we would have had rights stripped away a long time ago. But it does still exist. And how do you convince those people that were not raised around guns? And it's like war propaganda. Hitler only ever showed videos and stuff in his propaganda videos, movies, of them winning. Or that perfect example is one of the propaganda videos that North Korea has used, that's been publicized, is talking about how Americans, they don't have any food, and that North Korea has it so much better, and that we live in impoverished situations and we're just like them, and completely showing them a different world, when you're only showed one side of the coin and not the other side, so you can make your own judgment. You'll never get ahead. So, that being said, the only way to get ahead is to have a level head, a clear mindset, an understanding of what they're going through. Because if you go through the mindset of, this is how it is, this is how it should be, because you're used to it. It's the gun culture. You have to think about, what are they going through? Put yourself into this situation, because you're comfortable with it and they're not. In the same situation, they have it in their head, oh, well, we don't need guns. I've never needed a gun in my life, because they haven't been attacked, they haven't been robbed, they haven't heard the horror stories. And this is all coming just from me personally seeing things throughout and reading different stories and my personal opinion.
Well, that's just it. I mean, you're absolutely correct. That's the whole thing with the anti-gunner and the liberal media in general, is the attitude they have and how biased they are and how misinformed they are. But that doesn't deter them from perpetuating the mistruths or bad facts or whatever it takes for them to sell the entertainment. I still stick to the fact, I don't think news is not news. News is entertainment, and that's all they're about.
I could agree with you. I could very much agree with you, or whatever can distract the masses from what's truly going on. Prime example is the fast track that.
Sorry, we lost you there for a second.
In the TPP and turn over a flag. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a second.
Well, but you can hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay. Yeah, what I was saying, is while we were busy arguing.
Is he skipping out for anybody else or just me?
Doing over a flag.
He's on his cell phone, and we're not being able to keep a constant contact with him here.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Nah,
Hello?
we're getting about every second,
Anybody?
third word. So, yeah, you're breaking
Hold
up
on,
pretty
hold
bad.
on, hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay, cool. So what I was saying was, while we were busy looking at and arguing over a Confederate flag, what was Obama doing? He was passing the Fast Track Act and the Trans-Pacific Pact and all that stuff, and just completely redirecting all kinds of exportation and importation trade laws while we were busy bickering and arguing over.
Did any of those affect guns?
Huh?
Let's remember one thing, though. Obama didn't pass that in Congress. The Republicans passed that in Congress. He just signed it.
Yeah,
Yep.
that too.
Well, did any of those restrictions, I mean, were any of those have any impact on firearms at all? Any kind of importation?
As far as importation, no, none that I'm currently aware of.
Okay.
What it's doing, though, is just as a sidetrack, what it's doing is relocating jobs, and it's a whole bunch of financial aid that's put off into it, and all this other stuff for people who've lost jobs or they're going to lose jobs because jobs are going to be exported and stuff, yada yada. But what my main point is what we were getting at is the news is for entertainment. Is going back to the original point. That's a prime example of what you were talking about. When you have people worried about a flag, that's going to generate a buzz, or it's going to generate a false flag event, and then the Congress can do whatever they want. News, follow the money, kind of deal. Follow the money, and you'll see how scarily deep the rabbit hole goes, as the saying is.
So we'll probably see Smith & Wesson open up in Bangladesh by next year, this trade agreement.
You will see a lot of companies doing that, though. I mean, there were some CEOs of some or chief financial officers of some pretty big companies that said they no longer have a financial interest in maintaining an American footprint now. The only reason they maintained the American footprint they had was to avoid being a foreign company operating on in American soil. Now they don't have to worry about that, so they can just ditch their American footprint.
And the thing is it benefits the corporations. It doesn't. That act doesn't benefit the American people. It's all money. From what I can gather from the research that I've done. Hello?
Yeah, we got you. We heard you.
Okay. I was just.
Yeah, you're good.
As John well knows, I'm on my phone. I don't have my laptop crapped out on me, and so all my calls and stuff I have to do, everything I'm doing currently is on my phone. So if I say hello, I'm making sure it didn't go wonky or lose connection.
Well, what do you got, Glock Guru just put a annotation over here, pushed for nationwide concealed carry. What do you mean by that?
Is that the next step for things that we should try to achieve? You can piggyback on the gay rights marriage issue if you want to. I think it's a good time to strike. I don't think it's the same precedent, but at the same time, if you can make the equality argument while it's still fresh in everyone's mind, I'm saying I don't see why this isn't like the next obvious move for everybody.
Well, because, and I wish Yankee hadn't have bailed because he had a pretty good explanation of why that is the fact that it's been ruled about how gay marriage is not a danger to the public where firearms.
I'm not saying that it should be de facto law. I'm saying that there should be an agreement like there is with driver's licenses. So we came to a federal agreement of a standard for driver's licenses. I think we could do it, and we could push for that. I'm not saying that it's now de facto law. What I'm saying is everyone's saying equality between states. I think we could just jump in right there and say, yeah, for us too. They can't have a good argument against it.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with you there 100%.
Iron's hot, and we have other support whether they realize it or not.
I think the iron's hot, but also the Toomey and Manchin bill is back for universal background checks, and one of their universal background check compromises in 2013 was national reciprocity. So they might want to do an even trade if we bring that up now. So I'm kind of leery.
And when you say even trade, you mean if we
National reciprocity for universal background checks, like
well,
just like the deal before.
right now, it's kind of a catch-22. But do you think? I mean, would you be willing to do that? I almost think that I would.
I don't know, because I think they hide a lot of things in these bills. They don't make them that clear. They don't make a clear bill on universal background checks, and I think it would be more infringement than we are hoping for or would like.
We already have like 70% of the law anyway. I mean, if you guys have your permits, how many states can't you carry in now? I mean, we're already there for the most part, right? I mean, there's probably less than 10 states that I can carry. No, I mean, even less than that now. I mean, it's just a matter of semantics, really, of agreeing on a standard. If they want to try to take away a right in order to do that, then I don't, and that's the right of private transfer of property, which is all a gun is, in my opinion. And, I'm not for that, especially when we're so close already, is my point.
Well, and that's true. You are right. I mean, and that's the one thing I think, we need to keep in mind, and kind of a message that we, bring up, every time we do these Every Second Matters chats, is a message that, for the most part, we don't need to be lax or naive, but for the most part, we're still winning the big picture. Yes, there's a few states that are still passing legislation that is kind of shitty, but for the most part, there's, we're still doing way better. In a lot of states, there's still positive legislation every week, every month.
I don't know about winning, but maybe gaining a little bit of ground, a little bit.
Well, when you think about, out of the, we've only got really 4 or 5 states that are anti-gun. That's,
We get. I don't know about you, but I see legislation every year that's trying to throw something by. I know here in Delaware we got one this year, domestic violence laws that got passed. There's 2 more scheduled for next year that won't be voted on or looked at until the next session. But there's still 2 more anti-gun ones.
But primarily coming from those states that are already have some pretty jacked up gun laws, like New York and California, and now granted there's a few new ones like with what happened in Washington.
Well, yeah, but those came into effect not that long ago. So I mean, we basically lost that ground, and then kind of slowly gaining a little bit more traction the other direction.
Yeah, and it's weird because wasn't it Washington? Is Washington the one that just got the whole gun show loophole where you have to have background checks for private sales?
Yes.
Okay, so, but it was also in Washington that they just allowed for NFA items, SBRs. Almost within 5 months of each other. So it's weird. It's almost like you said. It's a balancing act with these politicians where they're like, hey, we're gonna let you have your NFA items now, but you gotta do a background check.
Yeah, we had that happen 2 years ago. I think so private sales all have to do background checks here. It's so lame. So now if, they excluded, like, if you die and it goes to a relative, then that's okay. They don't have to have a background check. But it'll probably go that way in another couple of years.
Yeah, and there again, it's one of those things that you understand that you don't want to give any of your rights away. Especially the hardcore Second Amendment advocates that feel like it's a God-given right. That's you know. Well, we all know the mission statement behind the hardcore guys. But then again, it's like, well, you've got to, there's got to be some give and take with government, as sad as it is, and not that I'm advocating for it, but it's at some point you're banging your head against a brick wall, and you've got to take the road less traveled, or the path of least resistance, and maybe be somewhat amendable to some of what the government restrictions are in order to get other ones passed. If that does that make sense? What I just said made sense to in my head, but
It makes sense in terms of like how the government operates, but yeah, it doesn't make much logical sense to me. It's just I don't think it's a losing battle, but I think it's one that has to be fought daily and vigorously, and just in public perception, and that's why this is such a good idea, at least in my mind.
right. Well, and I guess a better way to phrase it would be, at some point, do you have almost a reverse psychology, in a sense where we fought these battles, it doesn't look like we're gaining any ground, or we're fighting a losing battle, so then maybe we back off a little bit to make them think we're you know
Backing off or something?
yeah, make them think that we're gonna
I just
relax, or be accommodating to their new restrictions, but ultimately it's just a matter of us biding our time before we.
I just think that kind of that lets them gain a bit of ground. And
Yeah, killing me, Mike.
Sorry. Okay, I'm done. You got me.
I, I just think it should just be kept. It should be kept at the same level. Just make them. Just keep trying to keep the conversation going as to why people think this way. Make it so we're not shown as the liberal stereotype of being just rednecks or this and that, and just try and counter that liberal media, at least the perception.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you there. I mean, that was a big kind of a big inspiration to this whole movement. And there was another guy. He actually got on the sports channel, or Sportsman's Guide or something. That was a gentleman that was a college professor that ended up doing his own hunting show. And the reason he decided to pursue this hunting show was because he wanted to get across to the audience, to the general public, that hey, I'm a very well-educated college professor who enjoys, he's a family man, yada yada. He teaches, I don't know, physics, or I don't remember what it was, but he's a professor at a pretty big college, but he likes to hunt and he likes to shoot guns, and he was breaking that stereotypical Elmer Fudd, hillbilly with the rebel flag, gun toting, pickup truck driving hillbilly, you know. And I think in today's community, or where we are now, with social media and the many representatives we've had in the gun community, I think that stereotype is really fading away, more so than it was 20 years ago. Would you guys agree with that?
I would say from probably most of our perception, yeah, but from the media perception, it's still the same game.
You think? Like, you think the media still spins it that all gun owners are ignorant hillbillies, uneducated, unarticulate?
Even with, I mean, Hillary's comment about us being basically domestic terrorists, I would say uh, that's at least part of the perception.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess if when you have someone in that position making that kind of statement, that does, whether it's obviously not true, but whether it's factual or complete fabrication, regardless, someone of her stature rather, making a statement like that does carry a lot of, you know,
Wait, yeah.
carries a lot of weight with the public. So pretty sad though.
Yeah, I think it's sad that people are so willing to just give up their rights and freedoms, so without question, for the supposed public good.
Yeah. Well, um, this would be a good time to shut this one down. This is a little impromptu. Yankee Marshall typically does his chat at 9, and I was going to do it afterwards, but he's scheduling conflicts, so I decided to host this one before his. Um, so we're going to shut this one down and go over to Yankee Marshall shooting left of center chat and check this out. Check his out. Even if you're watching this in the future, go ahead and click on over to the Yankee Marshall on this day because his chat's all about racism. Um, should be a pretty good chat. I can't remember what he titled it. He titled it "Racism in the Gun Culture." So it ought to be a pretty lively chat. We had Mr. Schwell 1-1 on our chat the other night and kind of broke the surface about racism and what it may be like for a minority in the gun community or in the gun culture. And so that's going to kind of be a carryover of that. So that's going to be a good chat, guys. So I appreciate everybody tuning in to my chat, supporting the channel. Everybody that showed up on the panel, I appreciate you guys for participating here. And everybody watching, again, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.